Have you ever looked around and wondered, why do so many people, maybe even close friends or relatives, struggle to make it to 85? Why do they seem to fade away quietly, often with little warning? You might picture someone who was once full of life, now slowly withdrawing, skipping meals, avoiding walks, forgetting names, or simply feeling too tired to enjoy the things they once loved. It's heartbreaking and more common than most people realize. And if you've ever felt afraid that this could happen to you, you're not alone. The truth is, many seniors feel this fear deep inside. They may not say it out loud, but it's there, especially at night, when the room is quiet and the mind starts to wander. But here's the good news. This doesn't have to be your story. Growing older doesn't mean becoming weaker or invisible. In fact, many people in their 60s, 70s, even 80s are discovering a new kind of strength, joy, and purpose. And it's not because of luck or perfect genes. It's because they've made different choices, small, consistent changes that quietly protect their mind, their body, and their independence. In today's video, we're going to explore 6 hidden mistakes that slowly but surely steal years from your life. They're not obvious. Most people don't even realize they're making them. But once you know what they are, you'll have the power to avoid them starting today. If you stay with me until the end, you'll walk away with a clear roadmap, something you can actually use to stay strong, stay sharp, and enjoy the years ahead with more energy, clarity, and peace of mind. And trust me, you don't want to miss the last mistake we'll talk about, because it's the one that quietly destroys the health of millions, and fixing it could be your biggest key to living beyond 85. So if you're ready to take back control of your future, let's start with the very first mistake. Mistake number 1, ignoring muscle loss thinking. Walking is enough. Some habits feel so familiar, so automatic, that we hardly stop to wonder if they're enough. Like walking. Every day, many older adults head out for their morning stroll, believing it's the one thing that will keep them healthy. And in many ways, it does. Walking is gentle. It gets the blood flowing. And it can be a lovely rhythm to greet the day. But here's the quiet truth. Few people talk about walking alone isn't enough to keep your muscles alive. You see, starting around your 30s, but speeding up after 60, the body begins to lose muscle mass, not in sudden drops, but in small, nearly invisible amounts. It's called sarcopenia, and because the loss is slow, we often don't notice until one day the stairs feel steeper, the grocery bags feel heavier, or the balance we once took for granted becomes shaky. We may still weigh the same, look the same, even walk the same, but inside, we're getting weaker. Muscles aren't just about strength or looking fit. They're like the beams and pillars inside a house. They keep everything in place. They hold up our bones, protect our joints, and support our heart, metabolism, and balance. Without strong muscles, the foundation of health begins to crack quietly, but surely. Imagine your muscles like a savings account. Walking is like depositing loose change, better than nothing, but not enough to grow the balance. To truly build strength, your body needs a little challenge, a push, a reason to grow, and that only comes through resistance, using your muscles against weight, gravity, or tension. Without that, they slowly shrink, even while you're still on your feet. Scientific studies have made this clear. One long-term research project published in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society showed that older adults who practiced light resistance training just twice a week had better mobility, fewer falls, and lived longer with more independence than those who didn't. 2 sessions a week. That's all it took. And no, it doesn't mean lifting big weights at the gym. It can be as simple as standing up from a chair without using your hands, holding onto a countertop while doing squats, lifting 2 cans of beans like dumbbells. What matters is engaging your muscles purposefully a few times a week, telling them, I still need you. Stay strong for me. Even 10 minutes can make a difference. The hardest part is starting, but once you do, your body begins to remember how to rise with steadiness, how to carry your own bags, how to live with strength and confidence. Because this isn't about looking young, it's about staying capable. And after 60, capability is freedom. Now, while muscles are often the first thing we lose, the second, surprisingly, happens at the dining table. Let's talk about that next. Mistake number 2, eating light but losing nutrition. It sounds like a smart move. I'm older now, so I don't eat much anymore. Just something light, maybe a bit of soup, some crackers, maybe a banana. At first glance, it feels clean, healthy, simple. But over time, this quiet habit of eating light can slowly steal away the strength and resilience that your body needs to thrive. As we age, the body's needs don't shrink just because our appetite does. In fact, we need more nutrients per bite, not less. Digestion becomes slower, absorption gets weaker, and muscle begins to break down faster. When we cut back on food too much, especially protein, healthy fats, and colorful vegetables, we may still feel not hungry, but inside, the body is quietly going hungry. Think of it like tending a garden that's no longer in full bloom. It may look peaceful on the outside, but if the soil goes dry and the roots stop getting what they need, the flowers begin to fade. It happens gradually. First the color dims, then the petals fall. That's exactly what happens to the body when we undernourish it. The skin thins, the muscles weaken, wounds heal slower, energy slips away. You might not notice it in 1 week or 1 month, but give it a year or 2, and the signs become clear. The strength to stand, the sharpness to think, even the will to move, all of it depends on what's on your plate. Science backs this up. A 2020 study in nutrients revealed that more than 60% of adults over 65 were not getting enough protein, and those with the lowest intake had significantly higher risks of frailty, falls, hospitalizations, and early mortality. It wasn't about eating too much. It was about eating too little of the right things. So what can you do? First, don't fear food. Food is not the enemy. It's medicine, fuel, and protection. Start with 1 nourishing meal a day, maybe breakfast with an egg and a slice of whole grain toast. Maybe soup, but with lentils or chicken added in, a spoonful of peanut butter with apple slices, a glass of milk or a fortified plant milk with your snack. These are not heavy foods, they're healing ones. And if your appetite is low, try eating in good company. Even a chat over tea can bring warmth back to the ritual of eating. Your body doesn't need a feast, it just needs real food, regularly, with care. Because when the body is well fed, the spirit stands taller, strength returns, healing becomes possible, and 1 good meal at a time, your future becomes brighter. Now, food gives us fuel by day, but there's something just as essential that happens when night falls, and if it's not right, everything else begins to crumble. Let's talk about sleep. Mistake number 3, sleeping poorly without fixing it. It starts as a small nuisance. You wake up at 3 a.m., check the clock, turn over, and try to fall back asleep. Some nights it works, other nights, your mind begins to wander old memories, strange worries, or just a quiet unease you can't quite name. Morning eventually comes, but you don't feel rested, just foggy, a little dull around the edges. Many older adults experience this, and most simply accept it. That's just how it is when you're older, they say, but the truth is it doesn't have to be, and more importantly, bad sleep is not harmless. Sleep is the time when your body repairs what daytime wears down. Think of it like closing a shop at night, restocking shelves, sweeping the floor, fixing the broken lock on the door. If the shop doesn't close properly, if the lights stay on and the repairs get skipped, it might still open the next day, but it's more fragile, more vulnerable. Inside your body, poor sleep interrupts deep healing. Your brain can't flush out waste properly. Your immune system doesn't reset. Blood sugar stays unstable. Blood pressure runs higher. It's like trying to build a house while the ground beneath it is still shifting. Everything becomes harder, slower, less stable. Research confirms this. A major study published in Nature Aging found that adults who consistently sleep fewer than 6 hours a night after age 60 had significantly higher risks of dementia, heart disease, and early mortality, even if they ate well and exercised. Lack of sleep undermined it all, like a crack in the foundation that weakens the whole house. But here's the part most people miss: you can improve your sleep. And it doesn't require pills or complicated tricks. Start by giving your body a signal. Just like babies calm down with lullabies and dim light, your body at any age responds to rhythm. In the hour before bed, lower the lights in your home, turn off the TV or phone, try reading a few pages of a calming book, or listening to soft music. Make your bedroom cool and quiet like a cocoon. Go to bed and wake up around the same time each day, even on weekends. If you wake up in the middle of the night, don't panic. That only adds fuel to the fire. Instead, sit up, breathe slowly, stretch a little, or pray. Reassure your body that it is safe, that it can rest again. Sleep is not a luxury. It's not something you earn. It's something your body needs to survive and thrive. And every hour of deep, gentle sleep you get is like laying a strong brick in the foundation of a longer, healthier life. Now, while your body heals at night, there's something else that keeps it alive during the day, something invisible, but absolutely vital. And when it's missing, even the strongest heart begins to grow tired. Let's talk about human connection. Mistake number 4, social isolation, losing human connection. There's a kind of fading that doesn't make any noise. It doesn't come with pain or illness or sudden change. It arrives quietly like a slow sunset when conversations grow fewer, when visits become rare, and when the warmth of daily connection begins to disappear from our lives. Many older adults don't even recognize it at first. They tell themselves they enjoy the quiet, that they don't want to bother anyone, that being alone is easier, but slowly, in that gentle silence, something in the body begins to withdraw too. The human body is not built to thrive in isolation, just as a home, no matter how beautiful, grows cold without anyone living in it. Our inner systems begin to shut down when we no longer feel seen, heard, or needed. When we share a moment with someone, a laugh, a meal, a soft word, our brain releases chemicals that soothe inflammation, lower stress, and even protect the heart. But when we go days without meaningful contact, those same systems start to suffer. The body produces more cortisol, the stress hormone. Inflammation builds like unseen mold behind the walls of a quiet house. Sleep becomes lighter, the immune system grows sluggish, and the mind, lacking stimulation and the gentle friction of connection, slowly begins to stiffen and forget. Research confirms what our hearts already know. One long-term study from Brigham Young University found that people who experience chronic social isolation had a 26% higher risk of early death, comparable to smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. But the danger isn't always visible. No sirens go off, no warning lights flash. It just feels like a little more tiredness, a little less joy, a quiet shrinking of the world. The good news is that connection doesn't require crowds or big gestures. It begins with one voice, one shared moment, calling an old friend, sitting next to someone during a church service, chatting with the neighbor while watering your plants. Even writing a letter to someone who crossed your mind can reopen the doors that life had quietly shut. If you've been feeling alone, I want to remind you gently you are not forgotten. Your presence still matters. There are people who would feel lucky just to hear your story, to share their time with you, to walk beside you, because what truly helps us live longer is not only what we eat or how we move, but how deeply we continue to belong. And while human connection gives life meaning, there's another force many people trust every day, something that seems helpful but can quietly backfire if we're not paying attention. Let's talk about that next. Mistake number 5. Taking too many pills without review. Sometimes we do things simply because we've done them for years. We refill the same bottles, take the same tablets after breakfast, maybe one before bed, and tell ourselves, it keeps me going, and maybe For a while, it did. But what few people realize is that the very pills we rely on for stability can, over time, begin to quietly erode the very health we're trying to protect, especially when no one has taken a fresh look at them in years. It's not just about taking too many, it's about taking too many without asking why, without checking if the dose is still right, if the drug is still needed, or if two medications might now be working against each other. Our bodies change as we age. The way we metabolize drugs changes. What was once helpful at 60 might be harmful at 75. The human body is a delicate balance, like a home where every light, every pipe, every circuit matters. Too much electricity in one room, and the system starts to flicker. The same happens when medications accumulate. Blood pressure may drop too low. Memory begins to blur. Energy fades. Digestion weakens. Or sleep becomes restless. Not because of age, but because the body is juggling too many instructions at once. A comprehensive review published in the Lancet Healthy Longevity revealed that over 40% of older adults take 5 or more medications daily. And while each may be prescribed with good intent, the interaction between them, what doctors call polypharmacy, has been linked to falls, confusion, hospital visits, and even premature death, not from overdose, but from overload. But here's the thing, this isn't about blaming doctors or fearing medicine. It's about becoming curious again, about asking the question, do I still need this once a year, or even once every few months? A quick medication review with a trusted doctor or pharmacist can make all the difference. Sometimes it's as simple as reducing a dose. Other times, one pill replaces 3, and occasionally, stopping a medication can bring back clarity, balance, and strength that felt long gone. There's no shame in taking medication. It can be life-saving, but just like any tool, it must be checked, cleaned, and adjusted from time to time. Your body deserves that care. Your future depends on it. And now that we've talked about the outside influences we put into our body, let's turn inward towards something we often ignore, something that quietly fades when life becomes predictable. It's not in your blood, not in your bones, but without it, even the healthiest body begins to slow. Let's talk about your mind. Mistake number 6, never challenging the brain anymore. The mind is a remarkable thing. It holds memories, solves problems, makes sense of the world, and tells us who we are. And yet, somewhere along the way, often quietly, without any real decision, we begin to use it less. We retire. The routines settle in. Fewer new books are read, fewer puzzles solved. Conversations grow shorter. Curiosity fades. And slowly, the brain, once vibrant and flexible, begins to stiffen. Many people believe that mental decline is inevitable, that forgetfulness is just part of getting older, that once the learning stops, there's nothing more to do. But the truth is, the brain is like a garden, even in later seasons. If you continue to tend it, water it, and give it sunlight, it can still blossom. What harms the brain most isn't age, it's stagnation. Without new challenges, the neural pathways in your brain begin to weaken. Like a road that's no longer traveled, information becomes harder to recall, decision-making slows, emotional resilience softens. But when you give your mind a reason to stretch, when you ask it to learn something new, it responds. No matter your age, Imagine a house where the doors and windows have been closed for months. The air becomes stale, dust settles, light can't get in. But open even one window, and suddenly, the whole space feels alive again. That's what happens when you reintroduce learning, problem solving, and novelty into your daily life. You let fresh air into the corners of your brain that haven't been touched in a while. A study published in Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience found that older adults who engaged in mentally stimulating activities like learning a new language, doing crosswords, or even trying the new hobbies had better memory, attention, and emotional health than those who didn't. And the best part? The benefits didn't require perfection, just participation. So what can you do? Try something unfamiliar. Listen to a podcast on a subject you've never explored, Learn to play a simple song on an instrument, take up drawing, or try a new recipe that challenges your hands and your timing. Speak with someone younger and ask what they're learning. Not everything has to be academic. What matters is that it's new, and it stretches your thinking in a gentle, exciting way. Because your brain isn't finished. It's waiting for something to reach for, something to grow into. And when you give it that chance, you might just be surprised at how quickly it wakes back up. Of course, the mind doesn't exist on its own. It's deeply tied to your sense of meaning, direction, and hope. And when that inner compass goes missing, even a strong body and sharp brain can lose their way. There's still one more mistake we need to talk about, perhaps the most subtle and the most heartbreaking of them all. Mistake number 7, losing the will to dream or plan for the future. At some point, maybe after a certain birthday, or after one too many losses, a quiet shift can happen in the heart. The calendar still turns, the sun still rises, but something inside no longer looks forward. You stop setting goals, stop planning trips, stop imagining new possibilities. Life becomes more about getting through the day than reaching toward anything. You start to tell yourself, I've lived my time, now I'll just stay where I am. But when the will to dream disappears, the spirit begins to shrink in ways the body can't hide. And the truth is, it's not age that steals our joy. It's the slow erosion of purpose. Aging is not a signal to stop dreaming. It's an invitation to dream differently. No, you may not climb mountains or start new careers, but you can still look forward. You can still wake up with something to care about, someone to encourage, something to create, even if it's as small as tending a plant, writing a letter, or helping someone a little younger find their way. The soul needs direction the way a sailboat needs wind. Without it, we drift, we go in circles. And even if the waters are calm, there's a sadness in not knowing where we're headed or why. Biologically, hope isn't just emotional, it's physical. People who maintain a sense of future purpose have lower levels of inflammation, stronger immunity, and greater longevity. According to research in JAMA Network Open, their bodies respond to meaning like a seed responds to sunlight with quiet strength, steady growth, and resilience against storms. So ask yourself gently, when was the last time you looked forward to something? Not because it was required or routine, but because it lit a small fire in you, something that made you sit up straighter, breathe deeper, feel alive. If that feels like a distant memory, you don't need to find some grand admission. Start by imagining what one good day next week might look like. Picture yourself doing something new, however small. Give your heart a reason to lean into tomorrow, because the human spirit is a stubborn, beautiful thing. It doesn't expire at 60 or 70 or 85. It simply waits, sometimes patiently, for you to remind it that life is still unfolding, that something wonderful could still be ahead. And maybe, just maybe, that something starts with today. If you've made it this far, I want to thank you not just for watching, but for caring, for taking time today to reflect on your life, your habits, and the path ahead. That alone says something powerful about you. Because growing older doesn't mean giving up. It doesn't mean shrinking, or fading, or settling. It means you've come this far and that you still have more to give, more to feel, more to experience. You deserve a life that is not only long, but full of strength, of clarity, of peace, of laughter, of meaning. Yes, some of these mistakes may have already crept into your life. That's okay. You're human. We all are. The beauty is you can start again. Today, right now, not with dramatic change, but with small, gentle choices. A short walk that strengthens your legs, a proper meal that feeds your future, a phone call that reconnects your heart, a quiet moment before bed, a new curiosity to feed your mind, a dream to guide your steps. Each one is like planting a seed, and over time, they grow not just into years, but into better years. So if this video spoke to you, if even one part made you pause and think, I invite you to do 2 things. First, leave a comment below and let me know. Which of these 7 mistakes felt closest to your story? Just type the number or share a word. I read every message, and your voice matters here. Second, subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell, not just so you don't miss a new video, but because this space is for you, a place to keep learning, growing, and feeling connected to life, to purpose, and to others walking the same road. Thank you for spending this time with me, and until next time, be kind to yourself, because every day you choose to care, you're already choosing a longer, stronger life.